Seniormash versus ChatGPT, looking at National League Rugby Predictions and the Six Nations. So, how did we go last week? Well, you can see the results on the screen. Things went pretty well, except for the Sedge prediction by me. Well, let's keep going. And when I say keep going, I mean more predictions. And I'm going to take a look at how I thought Sedge played against Rosslyn Park. Hopefully you'll find that insightful. And then I'll take a look at the 3 Six Nations games that took place last weekend, giving you some of my ideas on what happened. This week, ChatGPT and myself are pretty closely aligned in our results, maybe not the margins. ChatGPT taking leads over Leicester Lions. I'm actually going with Leicester Lions by 5. Interestingly, both of us going for Sedge. I'm going by 7 and ChatGPT by 9. The Birmingham Moseley Plymouth Albion game, again, pretty close call, but both of us going with Albion. Same with the Blackheath Rams game, pretty similar, Bishop Stortford versus Clifton. And maybe the TGA's Rotherham game different. And when I say different, I don't mean win, lose, I mean the margin. We do see that game slightly differently. But now let's have a look at what I saw Rosslyn Park versus Sedgley Park. My honest opinions follow. Hope that they are helpful in helping you put your predictions together. So, let's take a deep dive into last Saturday, Rosslyn Park v Sedge. Well, let's look at the Sedgley game. Immediate reaction. Rosslyn Park far more clinical when they got the opportunities. Sedge, like we talked about at the beginning of January, red zone accuracy, efficiency, non-existent. And the line out. I can't quite work out what's going wrong, but something's going wrong. Fair play to Rosslyn Park. Every time they saw an opportunity, they seemed able to convert it. Sedge need to take those opportunities. They created them. They got into the 22 on numerous occasions, just couldn't convert. I don't necessarily say Sedge would have won, but they could have got a bonus point. And at this end of the season, those bonus points are pretty important. So come on, Sedge. See, I'm wearing the logo. So here we are, 48 hours after the England-Scotland game. My immediate reaction, I've got to say, well played, Scotland, not what I expected. England really struggled going down to 14 men for, 50 minutes of the game. No, not 50, 30 minutes of the game, sorry. 8 minus 3 is 5. Yes. Note to self, do more maths training. Anyway, let's not get hung up on my inability. But look, going down to 14 men for those 30 minutes really disrupted them. Scotland have got one of the best centre pairings in the world. And the moment England were down to 14 men, they were ruthless. You know, scrum half, fly half, centres, wings, absolutely ruthless the way they tore England's defensive structure to bits, really. Now look, Tommy Freeman at outside centre, I think, has been a great innovation by Borthwick. So I'm not going to criticise him. However, what I will say is that Tommy Freeman, when there's only 14 men on the field, is still getting used to how to defend at outside centre rather than being on the wing. Not easy, and Scotland were ruthless. Second observation, well, where was the England back row? Underhill and Pepper. Something, you just weren't there. That doesn't mean to say you played badly. watching this on TV, you weren't dominant. And that surprised me. Ben Earl, chapeau. Absolutely. I can't speak highly enough about his performance against Scotland. Now, as ruthless, as fast as Scotland were, England got back, in my opinion, into a position where they were going to reel in Scotland. They got a penalty, referees playing advantage, fair enough, but they've got control. They've got real control. They then move closer and closer to the Scottish try line and start to get frustrated. At which point, Ford makes the decision that better to have some points. Now, Ferguson was very quick off the line. He did it remarkably well. And that charge down that led to that try for Scotland really kicked the stuffing out of England at a point where, for the first time in the game, I thought England were in control. And I think if they could have maintained that control, not necessarily have won, but I think would have really caused Scotland some real nervous moments. I do think England need to make a couple of changes. I would definitely be looking at Ollie Lawrence at outside centre. I'd put Freeman on the wing. I'd let Arundel have a week off and just think about giving away 30 minutes playing time. I don't know what other people think, but I was very impressed with the England scrum. I actually thought Alex Cole played as well as Maro Itoje. Ollie Chesham, superb. So Earl and Chesham, no complaints. So let's move on. Let's see how they go in their next game. Borthwick, don't hit any panic buttons, but let's make sure we win. Over to the Wales-France game. David Jenkins, Aaron Wainwright, absolutely brilliant. If I was picking a combined team, those two guys would be in it. As for the French, their two wingers, their fullback, their fly half, oh, superb. But 5 back row players just changed the game. It was like watching basketball. Rather than how England's back row forwards sort of go low into the contact, these French locks and back row stood high, were able to offload, change the dynamic of the game. Again, I said it before, I do think in international rugby your centre pairing is really important. Interesting, France going through some changes, but sticking with club combinations, maybe others could learn, because let's face it, Scotland have got a club combination. Ireland, Italy, close but no cigar for the Italians. Andy Farrell's team talk at half-time changed the dynamic. Thought that changing the fly half was absolutely the right move. So this weekend we've got England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales on the Saturday. Going to be interesting. I still say that England's performances continue to improve, and there's no reason in my mind that they won't be able to get another victory. Scotland need to prove that they're not a one-trick pony against the English, and I'm sure that if Steve Tandy can convince his team that performances such as those given by Aaron Wainwright and David Jenkins can win games, then I do think Wales will be able to challenge. And TV companies, do we have to go on about how many empty seats there are? Let's talk about the rugby. And on Sunday, it's France versus Italy. Well, the way the French are playing, they should indeed win. I hope Italy have got a few tricks up their sleeves and create some chaos. I do think Antoine Dupont is due a big game, so if I was Italians, I'd be worried about that happening. And I do like the way in which Galtier is experimenting with this 5 back row forwards who stand tall in contact, who offload, who are dynamic, who find space and not contact. Great having the likes of Underhill, Pollock, Curry, Pepper. No qualms about how good those players are, but they do take the ball low into contact and they rely on second phase ball being quick. The French seem to have abandoned that, and they're going for the guys that stand tall, offload, and keep the ball alive at speed. So at speed, let's have a look what that translates to in terms of my predictions. Well, I'm going England by 5, Wales by 3, and France by 9. ChatGPT, on the other hand, is going Ireland by 6, Scotland by 8, and France versus 14. Well, let's see how we get on when we review the results next week. And enjoy your rugby. As I always say, do get down to your local club to watch live sport, support those clubs. They've usually got a big screen so you can watch the Six Nations, listen what some of the rugby experts have got to say. So for now, enjoy your rugby, have a great rugby weekend, and thanks for joining me and looking at my rugby predictions. That's Seniormash.